What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Growl. And it's officially week 17 in the NFL, so up next we have the playoffs. And this is going to be part one of a two-part series talking about the playoff pictures in the AFC and the NFC. And up first, I'm going to start off with the AFC because it's a bit more simple to talk about, even though they have some pretty crazy scenarios that's going on for certain teams to get in, certain teams to get knocked out. But it's a lot more simple than dealing with the NFC, so I just figured I'd tackle this first. So up first, I'm just going to get into the division leaders right now, starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs, who at 14-1 have officially clinched the 1 seed, and it's nothing really they could do to lose it. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be sitting their starters this week, getting some rest, basically coming off 2 bye weeks. I don't know how well that'll play out because they have, looked a little suspect lately. They struggled against the Falcons last week, but, they got the dub and take some break. They're going to take a break. And, we trust Andy Reid off a bye week. I don't think he's ever lost off of a bye week. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the Chiefs. At the 2 seed, we have the Buffalo Bills, who's sitting at 12-3. Now, the Bills actually do have something to play for because they can lose this 2 seed. With the loss and a Pittsburgh Steelers win, they could drop back down to the 3 seed. And they also, have a division rival that's playing for a playoff spot as well that they have to face in week 17. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to go out there and try to just wrap that 2 seed up. So that way, if they do, make it through the playoffs, the only way they have to travel is by going to Kansas City. So somewhat of an important game for them. But we know they officially clinched the AFC East. So they have a playoff spot regardless. On to the 3 seed is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, again, just spoke about them. They locked up the AFC North. Only thing they'll be playing for now is possibly getting the 2 seed, and I don't think they're going to even try because I think they're going to be benching their starters for this week, trying to get healthy. We know that Steelers team has been looking haven't been looking too good, So I guess they're trying to get healthy as they can. They feel like, look, we got our playoff ticket, and the Steelers at their best, they're one of those teams that don't necessarily have to play at home to play a good game, but they do have to play a lot better than they've been playing lately. So, yeah, they're going to be benching their starters. Also have a game against a division rival who's playing for a playoff spot, but I think it's probably they're just like, it's not worth the risk to play the starter. So, that's the only situation we have with those top 3. Really, just the only thing changing is between the 2 or 3 seed if, those scenarios that I just spoke about were to happen. So this is where things get a little more interesting. At the 4 seed right now, we have the Tennessee Titans, who currently have the lead in the AFC South. They have the same record as their rivals, the Indianapolis Colts, who both sit at 10-5. So this week, if the Titans were to lose and the Colts win this week, the Titans, I think, will officially be knocked out of the playoffs. So they actually have something to play for. They have a tougher game, I would say, against the Texans than the Colts have against the Jags. So they're going to have to go out there and try to, get this done. They could have wrapped this up last week with the Colts loss to the Steelers, but we thought that they were going to be playing in all the snow. We thought Henry was going to go off, and they pretty much got smacked. Like, it wasn't even close. So they weren't able to take care of business this week. So it's what it's going to come down to. Now, if they just go out there and win, it's locked up. So basically all the Titans have to do is win this game, and that's the wrap. They don't have to worry about the Colts anymore. So, yeah, that's the only thing that could pretty much hurt their chances of making the playoffs. So, from there, we're going to move on to the wild card scenarios, which have a bunch of different ways for teams to get in or get knocked out. So, up first in the wild card round of this video is the Dolphins, who sit at the 5 seed, who I honestly think has the highest chance of getting knocked out because I know I said the Titans, if they lose, they basically knocked out the playoffs, and the Colts win. That's not necessarily true. So I'm going to get back to that when I get back into the Colts later on. But back to the Dolphins. The Dolphins have to just win. If they win, they're in. If they don't win, and the reason I said why I think this is going to be the team that's most likely to get eliminated is because they play the Buffalo Bills this week, who's been on fire. But if they don't win, they would need either Baltimore, Cleveland, or Indianapolis to lose for them to have at least a playoff spot. And they'll probably come in at the 7th seed then. But like I said, it's probably the highest. they probably have the biggest uphill battle to close this out because, like I said, that Bills game in Buffalo, that's gonna be a tough one. They had a great win last week against the Raiders, but even then they kind of struggled. So, the Bills are arguably the best team in the league right now. So, that's going to be a tough one. But if they are able to pull it off, all they have to do is win this game. They hold on to the 5 seed. They into the playoffs. So that's it for the Miami Dolphins. Now, currently sitting at the 6th seed is the Baltimore Ravens, who basically just have to win that game against the Bengals. They lock up their playoff spot. If they were to some kind of way lose to the Bengals, which I highly doubt that'll happen, the Ravens have been looking great, and they hungry. We know the Ravens not trying to miss the playoffs. They're way too talented. But if they were to lose, they would need Cleveland to lose or Indy to lose. And with Cleveland current situation, it's somewhat of a possibility for them to end up losing this game. But like I said, even if the Ravens just have to go out and handle business. You know what I'm saying? Like they control their own destiny basically. So that's just as simple as that. Now, for someone who doesn't have it as simple as the Cleveland Browns, who face off the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. Again, not starting Big Ben. They're starting Mason Rudolph, which, I think gives them a better opportunity. But again, the Browns lost last week. Terrible game to the Jets. And if they would have just been able to pull that off, they would have been able to hold on to their own destiny. But like I said, they still just have to win. And if they don't win, which is a pretty big possibility, man, that Steelers team is still pretty decent, even without Ben. They have to hope for Indy to lose. And Indy plays the Jags, which is a way more winnable game than Cleveland against Pittsburgh. So, like I said, they have to get it done. Now, they do have other scenarios. So, they would need Tennessee to lose, Miami to win or tie, and Baltimore to win or tie for them to also make the playoffs. They would have to tie and have hope for a Baltimore loss, Miami loss, Tennessee loss, and an Indianapolis tie. Now, I haven't been really getting into the ties because we know how rare those are. And I was like, kind of waste of time to get into those. But again, Cleveland, I think, has the most. They have the most scenarios for them to make it if they were to lose. That's most of them are highly unlikely, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, they just have to go out here and win. And they hold on to that 7th seed, they into the playoffs. Because crazy thing about the AFC is a 10-win team basically will not be making the playoffs. No matter how we slice it, it's gonna be a team with 10 wins this year that doesn't make the playoffs. And we all thought, since they added the 7th seed, that probably wouldn't happen. But the AFC has been somewhat competitive. It's I won't say somewhat. It's been very competitive. Like I said, a lot of teams that I didn't even expect to look as good as they do, they're making it. Like I said, it's a test, especially with the Dolphins, man. I didn't even expect them to look as good as they do. But yeah, that's pretty much the scenario with Cleveland. Like I said, after that loss to the Jets, where they just could not get it done, which is, it's pretty bad. That's a bad loss. I know they were all without their receivers, but that's still kind of inexcusable, man. So they just have to take care of business this week and needed a couple other chips to fall their way. Now, on to the Indianapolis Colts, who I said if they win and the Titans lose, they basically knock the Titans out the playoffs, which is not necessarily true. Now, if the Colts win this week and the Tennessee Titans lose, they will jump to the 4th seed, and they will be current leaders of the AFC South, and they will clinch that division. So, in the event that that doesn't happen, their only hopes from there would be if they win, they will need Baltimore, Cleveland, or Miami to lose. One of those three. So they have again, they also have some situations where, if they were to tie, basically if they tie, they still need one of those 3 teams to lose. So yeah, they don't really necessarily control their own destiny, because they need some help. Like I said, whether they win or lose, they're still gonna need help. So with the Colts, if the Titans, Dolphins, Ravens and Browns, if all 4 of those teams win this week, the Colts are officially out of the playoffs. So, yeah, man, they have to. That's like the only team that's not really in complete control of if they make it to the playoffs or not. They need more help than the Browns and the rest of the teams do. Now, with that being said, also if the Titans were to lose, back to them, because I made the mistake of saying if they were to lose and the Colts win, they'll be knocked off. Basically, all those same scenarios with the Colts. If the Colts were to lose and to make the playoffs, that's what the Titans would need. If the Colts lose, the Titans would have to hope for the Colts to lose, Baltimore or Cleveland to lose if they want to make the playoffs. So, but like I said, the Colts still need a lot more help than the Titans do. Basically, all the Titans need to do is win. If the Colts also lose, they're out of there, But again, the Colts have to hope for a Titans loss for them to make the playoffs in the first place. So that's pretty much all with the wild card rounds, with the wild card scenarios. As for my prediction of what I think is going to play out like, honestly, I see Miami getting knocked out of the playoffs because that's a very tough game against Buffalo. Cleveland, it would have been tough if the Steelers were going to try to play for the 2 seed, but since they're starting Mason Rudolph, I think that raises their chances of winning a lot more. And the Ravens, who's been on, they've been pretty hot lately. They just have to get across a Bengals team that's not very good. You know what I'm saying? They've been, playing some good football lately, but I do think the Ravens have been playing a lot better than such as the Steelers. The Steelers lost to the Bengals 2 weeks ago. And so I think like I said, the most uphill battle for this will be the Dolphins and the Colts, because like I said, the Colts still going to need some help, and they might, with the Dolphins playing the Bills, I think the Colts have a better chance of making it this week. So yeah, man, that's my thoughts on the playoff picture. That's my thoughts on how I see this wild card scenario playing out, and that's pretty much how this wild card thing is playing out in the playoff picture in the AFC. Like I said, even though it was a lot of rambling and a lot of gibberish involved in it, still a lot more simple than the NFC, who has a whole division of teams where we don't even know what the hell is going to happen with that. So that was just part 1 of the playoff picture. Starting off with the AFC. I'll be back with the NFC after this one. But with that being said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what your thoughts is. If you agree, disagree, down in the comments below. And I'm out.